Hello, investors. It's Don Vandenbord, Chief Investment Officer with Revere Asset Management. Today is Monday, July 14th, 5:12 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from the financial capital of the South, St. Augustine Beach, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we're in an uptrend since the follow-through days on April 22nd and 23rd. And speaking of which, this coming Wednesday after the close, I will be a guest on the Investing with IBD podcast hosted by Justin Nielsen, and we'll go week by week through how we've added exposure and handled that exposure since those follow through days. Hope you'll join live. That is actually live. You can ask questions. So hopefully see you after the close on Wednesday. That's 5 p.m. Eastern time. Check the trend gauge over here. We've got the coveted four green arrows, but still the stubborn yellow warning signs, which have been on there since July 3rd when we got extremely extended from the 21 and 50-day moving averages. Markets are doing us a tremendous favor, though, and that is they're working off that oversold condition by going sideways instead of plunging to the averages. In fact, we're getting close. If we get to 4% on the S&P and 5% or under on the QQQ, we'll take these warning signs off. We're in a nice 8-day sideways consolidation in a very tight range, and that is working off that oversold condition, and that's what happens in bull markets. So what happened today? Bullish tight index action continues. Over the weekend, Trump announced 30% tariffs on the EU and Mexico effective 8/1. The indexes, the futures responded with a gap down of about a 0.5%. And that was about as low as it got. Little by little overnight, we worked our way toward flat. We opened flat on the NASDAQ 100, down a tenth of a percent on the S&P 500, put in the lows within the first 15 minutes, and ended up with a positive close, as you can see. And that is just flat out bullish action. There's no way to argue with it. I know we're getting into, in fact, today was the last day of the July and Christmas setup for July and Christmas. Christmas in July setup that we discussed back in late June. And that's part of what the Trader's Almanac type of stuff that they track. And today was the last day of that. Typically, late July and August are not bullish, but we're not going to preemptively blow things out because of that. We've been tempering things because of how extended we are from the indexes, but with the exception of we did get some leader leakage last week. In fact, 7 names crossed off of the 21 over 21, but I easily had 30 candidates to replace those 7 names, and you'll see that when we get to the chart portion. So here are the numbers on today. 21-21 up an average of 1.31%, 17 up, 4 down. Turbo-12 up 2.95%, all 12 up. These numbers are throttled a little bit because when we add names on Monday to round out the list, it can be exaggerated to the upside. So we do have those throttled a little bit. The Big Eight, this is the Mag 7 plus Netflix, up a little less than 1/3%. The RG8 up 1%. S&P 500 up 0.14, tight range. RSP equal weight S&P up 0.1, NASDAQ 100 0.36, equal weight up 0.56. Let me fix that decimal there. Dow positive, mid caps positive, Russell led. We'll take a look at those charts momentarily. Global 60/40 up slightly. Flagship GROTECTION portfolio increasing its lead over the S&P year to date, up 0.36%. TURBO-TECTION continues to have a really great streak about the last 4 or 5 days. Heavy in crypto, and crypto is working. Turbo up a very nice 0.98% today. All right, reminder, please like and share on YouTube and share our content on Instagram, X, and TikTok. We would certainly appreciate that. So let's get to the indexes here, and here's your S&P 500. Let's go to a 30-minute chart, and you can see very clearly this one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 day consolidation that we're in. 8 days if you include the day before. But this is exactly what we want. This is the third here was when we put out that extended note. We had a harsh sell off the next day after that, but that put in the low. Did not pierce that low at 62.01 over the last 5 days. Slightly poked our head above the high from 7.3, pulled back a bit, and we've been tight. Weak closes, strong opens. Sorry, weak opens, strong closes. The last 2 days, actually, last 3 days, actually, you could, well, we'll stick it with 3 days because we had a sell off there, but then a nice recovery into the close on the 9th. But bullish action, bottom line, yes, some leaders got hit last week, especially software related names. That just came out of the blue. No explanation for it. Sometimes things just get a bit too extended to the downside or to the upside, and we have to reverse them. And that's what we saw there. But the key names bouncing at the 50-day moving average. I'm talking about Zscaler, CrowdStrike, Rubik. Um, so onward we go. And note also the last 2 days has been one of our keys, the 8 day moving average. We've touched it each of the last 2 days and bounced off of it. We are keeping an eye on a break of that. Likely that it would happen. If it does, we want to look down to the lows of this consolidation range and make sure that that holds. Very similar setup on the NASDAQ 100. You can see the tight action, undercut reclaim of the 8 day moving average today, closed near the highs, up near the highs of the range. Let's look here now at how extended we are from the 21 day, 2.1%. 5.8% from the 50-day moving average. Let's go back to the S&P 500. Only 1.8%. So basically, two ATR still extended from the 21-day moving average, 4.9% above the 50-day moving average. So there's the S&P equal weight S&P. Let's take a look at that. That poked its head above 2 days ago, two trading sessions ago, when we had that the leader sell off. But since then, you can see it lagging a little bit. So on a relative strength basis, but really nothing wrong with that undercut and reclaim of the 8 day moving average. And it has not made higher highs because tech has been working. Tech has the heavy weighting in the S&P 500. Let's move on to the Dow Jones Industrial Average, looking just fine, undercut and reclaim of the 8 day. On to the S&P 400 mid cap, touch of the 8 day moving average and bounce off of there. And finally, the Russell 2000, touch of the 8 day moving average and bouncing off of that level. So pretty similar setups. You can see we poked above and made a higher high in small caps, mid caps, and equal weight S&P last Thursday, pulling back a bit from that. That's not showing up on the S&P 500. So as the major indexes, let's go to inter asset correlation. We will start off with the VIX. VIX poked into this declining 21-day moving average and reversed today. It ended up 4.9% with a 17 handle, but want to keep an eye on that declining 21-day moving average, and then it's forming a tight range against last week's lows. US dollar six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight up sessions. Not a lot of people talking about that. Move above the 21-day moving average. That's a change in character. Note every time we touched the 21-day moving average over the prior 8 weeks, we got back below it. Now back above it. It doesn't seem to be impacting the markets, though, as they're right against new highs. But what about precious metals. We'll start off with gold first. Gold still continues to be in this consolidation, down a bit today. We've talked about a possible short setup in gold and gold stocks if the dollar works its way into a position of strength. But really, we're just going sideways here over the last 7 or 8 sessions in the dollar and in gold, or sorry, in GLD, and in a tight range on gold stocks as well. So despite the rising dollar, they're not giving it up, but we are keeping an eye on that because relative strength, as you can see there, has been awful over the last 5 weeks in gold and gold stocks. Silver, better, made a higher high but pulled back. We've got this gap that's not filled from last Friday on silver. Bitcoin continues to rock, made another all-time high, reversed a bit during the session, but still up 1.4%. And bonds, BND, tight action today. On BND, that's the broad bond index, TLT down a little bit, meaning yield slightly higher on the 30-year. And note this downtrend line that has been broken in yields, not impacting the market as of yet, but we are keeping an eye on this inter-asset correlation as we always do. Let's go to the tail of the tape. Nothing major up here with the stochastics or with sentiment. I talked about that last Thursday. Fear and greed being over in extended extreme greed range. It's in red because that's a negative. We're looking for these are the sentiment indicators. You do the opposite of what they show. What we're looking for is just to get over an 80 and then break back out of the extreme greed. That's a possible topping signal. It's something we'd be paying more attention to. In the news, mentioned the Trump tariffs effective 8/1. Also, keep an eye, CPI in the morning. A lot of focus on inflation data as Powell continues to be terrified of inflation. Trump continues to browbeat Powell about cutting rates, but as long as Powell's concerned about inflation, he won't be cutting rates. He's coming into today. The 8-day against either all-time highs or recent highs in the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Russell. Staying above the 8, didn't make all-time highs or break that 2276 on the Russell. Bitcoin made another all-time high. Day count, 7-day consolidation to an 8-day consolidation, 15 days above the 8. That's kind of long. 55, that's kind of long as well, but we've seen it go higher. We're not predicting. It seems like the pain trade is higher because everybody's looking for the pullback that's not coming. S&P ATR 0.88. We love that. Sectors that were strong today: Bitcoin, software, and banks to the upside, to the downside, semiconductors, oils, gold, and silver. GROTECTION, one portfolio change. We bought AV, 1.41 adjusted beta, 6.02, balance at risk. Turbo, one change added to the ASTS position, 2.03 adjusted beta, 6.74% balance at risk. Bottom line, bullish tight index action continues. Leaders act well. We'll check the CPI data tomorrow, see if that puts a kibosh on this continued strength in the face of negative headlines. Keys will stay the same. S&P, Qs, and the Russell against their 8-day and recent highs or all-time highs on the upside, and see if Bitcoin can continue its run. Let's get to the charts. We'll start off with the 21 over 21. We'll start off with what we own. Those are green flagged as always. And Palantir, just a beast, continues to, it looked like there were 2 attempts to sell it off over the past 4 weeks. It responded each time from breaks below the 21 to reclaim it and work toward new highs. GE Vernova just continues to grind higher. Robinhood, a little bit of resistance around that 100 level. NVIDIA, tight range today. continues to act like a stud. Uber, probably the weakest in the portfolio, down 4 straight days, but look at how light the volume has been these 4 days on the pullback. Break of the 8 day moving average. Expect support to show up here at the pivot or at the 21-day moving average right below that. Coin making a higher high, AVAV. Uh, this is one. Okay, so Friday, the Pete Hegseth pushing for drones. Big day up in the drone manufacturers, AVAV. Great day, above average, well above average volume, coming back above the 8 day moving average and recovering from this sell off that was triggered by a secondary offering. Today, a gap down on this. I made a note to keep an eye on it. It broke very quickly, back above put in the lows within the first 30 minutes, and finally established a position when it showed the strength in this today. And this really speaks volumes to me that a big up day like that tried to sell it off and it just got bought up. Excellent action. The initial stop against the 8 day moving average, 1 to 2% below that. And looking to add to this position if it continues to work well. We saw what it did with these 4 days up since its earnings report. And then when you got a positive news catalyst from the administration, this has been all the way up to 296. That's $30 below, above where it is now. So, uh, liking this name, let's just say that. Bitcoin added back to the 21 over 21 list. These are carryovers. Frito, strength, running into resistance around 100. Dash going sideways for the last 2 weeks. Vistra consolidating for the last 2 weeks. PWR making a new high. CCJ bounced off the 21 last week. Freeport sitting on the 8 day moving average. SoFi, just fantastic action. Now, these next 7 names were all added for this week. DraftKings, right near the pivot of a cup and handle. Reddit, 5 day pullback after some strength. Uh, Bounced at the 21 last week. Decent setup, good volume patterns. Circle Internet starting to trade tightly over the last 2 weeks after just crazy action after its IPO. Couple days testing, but holding the 21-day moving average. EQT out of nowhere, breaking a downtrend line on volume today, back above the 821 and the 50-day. MP Materials after the signed contract with the DoD last week. Um, one day tried to make a higher high, pulled back, made another higher high today. This is very much being accumulated. Good volume patterns there. And finally, we don't usually have airlines in there, but we can't ignore the reaction to Delta's earnings. UAL, the same. They've got earnings coming up, and Southwest, LUV, also looking great. So 3 airlines. We put one on here. We'll see how it goes. And that's your 21 over 21 list. Let's go to the new Turbo 12. We've got 5 new names in here. First two are owned. ASTS looking great, and LEU also. AAOI is a carryover. AS is a new name. INOD, undercut and reclaim the 21. That stayed. Irene is a new one. This looks really good after this big move up. Look at the big blue volume bars, sideways consolidation on below average volume, up on double average volume today. This just looks fantastic. Uh, Data center and crypto theme there. KTOS, benefiting from that drone. See, this is the lower price and volume version of AVAV. So we've got one from that sector in each of the two models. OUST, Sedge, MIR added, tight action along the 21-day. Symbotic added, undercut and reclaim of the 8. That's robotics. And Viking, riding that 8 day moving average higher. Someday I hope to take a Viking cruise. Look at that beautiful relative strength line. And that is your 33 names. 2121, larger cap. Turbo 12, smaller cap. plenty to chew on, and that's going to wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. The email's don@revereasset.com. Oh, I do want to note two that I cut from the 2121 list because of liquidity issues. Shack and Light. Just not liquid enough for GROTECTION. Like to hear from you. The email's don@revereasset.com. The phone's 855 Real Wealth. That's 855-732-5932. Both of our portfolios, TURBO-TECTION and GROTECTION, designed to grow assets during uptrends. Things start to pull back, we'll lighten up. Things really start to get ugly, like breaking the 200-day moving average. We'll get the heck out of the way, but we've got rules for getting back in as well, and we detail them every night on video here, the most transparent advisor in the world. And with that, I'll wrap it for Monday, July 14th. This is Don Vandenbord with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening and have a great day.